It was just another day, and you were on your way to visit Jungkook in his office. A soft smile played on your lips as you cradle your small but noticeable baby bump. 3 months pregnant, the thought alone made your heart swell with a mix of emotions, uncertainty, hope, and something else you didn't want to name yet. You were married to John Jungkook, an insanely wealthy businessman. He had everything: power, influence, and the ability to own anything he desired. There was nothing in the world he couldn't buy, but despite all that, he was unfortunate in love. He once had it all. He was deeply in love with his first wife, his childhood sweetheart, the only woman he had ever truly opened his heart to. But fate had been cruel. She died in an unfortunate accident, leaving behind a void in his life. He had changed after that, no longer the warm, emotionally expressive man he once was. He became distant, closed off, and more focused on expanding his empire. Yet there was one thing he still longed for: a family, an heir, and that was the reason you were here. You weren't his first choice, you weren't his love, you were simply the woman who would give him the child he wanted. This marriage was nothing more than a contract, an agreement between two people who needed something from each other. You were drowning in debt, burdened with responsibilities, and desperate to save your brother from the hands of cruel men who wouldn't think twice before killing him. There was no way out, no hope left until Jungkook came into your life like a savior. He offered you a deal. He would save your brother, clear your debts, and in return, you would give him a child. It wasn't easy. It took nearly a year, countless doctor appointments, failed attempts, and silent nights spent in separate rooms. But now you are finally pregnant, and with that, everything had changed. Jungkook had softened just a little. He was caring, attentive, ensuring you had everything you needed. He didn't know if he could call it love, but he respected you, treated you well. It was far more than you had expected from a marriage that had started with nothing but an agreement. But for you, it was different. Against all odds, despite knowing how this marriage began, you had fallen in love with him. Your steps slowed when you approached the hallway leading to his office. A group of employees stood near the break area, engaged in hushed gossip, unaware of your presence. "I still can't believe he actually remarried," one of them whispered. "I know, right? His first wife was his childhood love. He was so different back then, more emotionally available, always showering her with love. He never hesitated to show how much she meant to him," another added. Your heart clenched, and you know what's even crazier? I overheard his mother talking the other day. She mentioned something about having a child and then divorcing. I didn't catch the whole thing, but it was something along those lines. The blood drained from your face. You knew he loved his first wife. You knew this marriage wasn't built on love. From the very beginning, Jungkook had been honest. He wasn't sure about this arrangement. His sole focus was having a child, and you had agreed because you had no choice. You had accepted the proposal against your will, telling yourself it was just a transaction, that it didn't matter, that your heart would never be involved. But hearing those words now, divorce, first wife, real love, shattered something inside you, because despite everything, despite the cold reality of your situation, you had started to fall for him. Tears burned in your eyes, but you refused to let them fall. Turning on your heels, you left the hallway, your vision blurry, your chest tight with pain. At that exact moment, Jungkook stepped out of his office. His sharp gaze immediately landed on you. The way you walked, the way your shoulders trembled slightly, it told him something was wrong. And for some reason, his heart clenched. Jungkook walked into the house, loosening his tie. As he balanced a small bag of medicines in his other hand, the dim lighting in the living room told him that you were already home, but the silence was unsettling. Usually you would at least acknowledge his presence, even if it was just a small nod. Instead, he found you sitting on the couch, staring at nothing in particular, your hands protectively placed over your small but growing bump. I got your medicine, he said, setting the bag on the coffee table. The doctor mentioned you should take these vitamins after dinner. You only nodded, not reaching for the bag, not even looking at him. The silence stretched between you both like an invisible wall, one he wasn't sure how to break. Jungkook sighed, taking a seat across from you. His sharp eyes studied you carefully. Something felt off, long gone when you used to be this quiet. Did you go to my office today? You froze for a second, not expecting him to notice you because you left before anyone could notice. Then you gave a small nod. Jungkook watched you, waiting for more, but you said nothing. Silence stretched between you, heavy and unfamiliar. This wasn't the usual quiet between you two. This was different. Something was off. His voice softened. Then why did you leave? Your fingers tightened around the fabric of your dress as you forced out a quiet. Because I remember something. Jungkook's gaze lingered on you, as if trying to read between the lines. Okay, he finally said, though his tone held suspicion. Did you eat dinner? You nodded instinctively. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. You are lying. You always avoid eye contact when you lie. Your lips pressed together, refusing to admit it. Jungkook exhaled through his nose, the frustration evident. What's wrong? Did something happen? Are you not feeling well? You hesitated, your chest tightening. You wanted to scream, to ask him if it was true, if he really planned to leave you once the baby was born, but instead you simply met his gaze and asked, if I say no, will you stop asking? His jaw tensed. He hated when you did this, when you shut him out, but he never presses things on you. He always respects your space. No, he swallowed. Then I'm fine. He stared at you for a long moment before nodding, though his expression told you he didn't believe a single word. Get some rest, he said, standing up. And just like that, he left. The moment the door closed, the tears you had been holding back slipped down your cheeks because now the truth was staring right at you. Jungkook was only here because of the baby, and once the baby was born, he wouldn't be yours anymore. Days passed in a blur, but the silence remained. Jungkook wasn't a fool. He noticed the shift in you, how your once soft smiles had faded, how you avoided his eyes, how the warmth that had started to grow between you had turned cold. He didn't question it outright, at least not yet. He wasn't one to pry, but something about this distance unsettled him in a way he couldn't explain. As the months went on and your pregnancy progressed, his care intensified. He wasn't backing down, making sure you ate properly, ensuring you got enough rest, keeping his schedule flexible to be around when you needed him. But you were slipping further away. One evening, he walked into the living room to find you slumped on the couch, pale, a hand clutching your stomach as your eyes fluttered closed. His heart dropped. Ryan, are you okay? His voice was sharp, laced with panic as he rushed to you, gently shaking your shoulders, but you didn't respond. He didn't waste another second before calling the doctor, his voice urgent, his hands trembling slightly as he felt your forehead. Cold sweat. He immediately picked you up before rushing towards the bedroom. When the doctor arrived and examined you, Jungkook stood at the edge of the bed, arms crossed tightly over his chest, and jaw clenched. She's exhausted, the doctor finally said, packing up his bag. Stress, lack of proper nutrition. She needs to rest, eat well. Any more strain and it could affect both her and the baby. Jungkook nodded stiffly, his heart ached badly, but he remained composed. When the doctor left, he sat on the edge of the bed, watching as you slowly opened your eyes. He exhaled in relief, but then his relief turned to frustration. Why are you not taking care of yourself? His voice was firm, but there was something desperate in it. You blinked at him before shifting your gaze to the ceiling. Don't worry, nothing will happen to your child. His body went rigid as he looked at you in disbelief. He stared at you, taken aback by the coldness in your tone. It's not just about the child. I'm asking why you are not taking care of yourself. If something is bothering you, then tell me. You let out a hollow chuckle, shaking your head in disbelief. Right. Jungkook's patience snapped. What's happening? Why are you like this? It doesn't matter, Jungkook, you whispered. You don't have to give so much importance to me. His eyes darkened, his hands curling into fists. Of course it matters. I'm grateful, you know. You looked at him now and he saw the pain swirling in your eyes. You helped me when I was on the verge of losing everything, and to repay that, I'll give you your child. That's what we agreed upon, right? Jungkook's breath hitched. He hadn't expected that. Something happened. He said, his voice lower, more controlled. Tell me. You scoffed. Why? So you can pity me? His jaw clenched. So I can understand. You hesitated, but then the floodgates broke. You swallowed hard, your hands clutching the bedsheet. Because my heart betrayed me in the process, Jungkook. He stilled, his eyes locked onto yours. I started thinking too highly of myself. Seeing you close, seeing you take care of me, seeing you to be nice to me, I forgot what this marriage was. Your voice cracked, but you pushed forward. I didn't know everyone knew. Today, when I went to your office, reality hit me when I heard your employees talking. His body stiffened. What did they say? You shook your head. Nothing new. It just reminded me of things why this marriage started in the first place. That I can never take your first wife's place, which is true. That you only love her, and you swallowed. That you married again to have a child. That you were so in love with your first wife, and you were completely different back then. More open, more emotional. That you never hesitated to show your love for her. You let out a shaky breath, and then I heard something else about your mother. About children and divorce. Jungkook's face darkened. Why? It's fine. You cut him off. I should have known. I did know. But I let myself forget. I let myself hope for something more when in reality I was just a means to an end. He exhaled sharply, frustration evident. You are not just. He stopped himself, dragging a hand down his face. Damn it, Ryan. Why didn't you tell me sooner? What difference would it have made? You looked at him, eyes burning. You married me for a child, Jungkook, and I fell in love with you. Silence filled the room as he looked at you surprised. Jungkook looked at you as if he had been struck. His lips parted slightly but no words came out. I fell for you, Jungkook, and that's my fault. He stood up abruptly, pacing, his hands curling into fists before he turned back to you. No, it's not. You blinked. What? He walked closer, his movements purposeful. You were wrong. He turned to face you fully. He exhaled. I never thought this would happen, but I care about you, Ryan. You looked away because I'm pregnant with your child. No, he stepped closer because it's you. You held your breath. I was a fool, he admitted. I thought what I felt for my first wife was all I could ever feel, that there was nothing more for me. But the moment I made love to you, I broke my own promise. Your eyes widened and lips parted in surprise. It wasn't just about a child. Maybe it started that way, but now he reached for your hand, gripping it tightly. Now I don't want just the baby. I want you. Tears welled in your eyes, but this time they weren't from pain. Jungkook squeezed your hand. And never ever my care or attention was because you're carrying my child. It's our child, Ryan. You searched his face, looking for hesitation, for doubt, but all you saw was sincerity. I know this marriage was never meant to be about love. I told myself that from the start. I thought I was prepared. I thought if I kept my heart locked away, if I only focused on having an heir, I could keep myself from getting hurt again. His voice wavered and you felt your heart ache at the vulnerability he was finally allowing himself to show. But I was wrong. The moment I made love to you, I broke my own rules. I promised myself that night that I would take care of you and our child. No matter what, I didn't say it then, maybe because I was afraid that if I admitted how much I needed you, you would slip away from me. You swallowed hard, your chest tightening at the raw honesty in his words. Jungkook had always been composed, always in control. Seeing him like this, stripped of his usual guardedness, made your own walls tremble. Do you know what scared me the most? That I might not be capable of love anymore. After she died, I wasn't sure if I had anything left to give. I built my life around power, control, making sure I had everything I needed. But love? I convinced myself I didn't need it. He let out a shaky breath, his hand tightening around yours as if grounding himself. But then you came into my life and you were nothing like I expected. You were strong even when you had every reason to break. You never asked for anything, never demanded more than I was willing to give. You never made me feel like you were doing me a favor or returning it. Because I helped you, and yet without even trying, you made me feel again. Tears welled up in your eyes, but you blinked them back, your fingers trembling in his grasp. Because it started like this. You helped me when I was on the verge of losing everything. He looked at you with so much emotions. And that's why I never wanted to trap you in a life that wasn't yours to choose. That's why I told myself if you ever wanted to leave, I would let you go. That's why the divorce papers exist. It was never meant to be a threat, never something to remind you of your place. It was a choice, your choice. Your breath hitched, the weight of his words settling deep in your chest. But what I didn't realize until now is that I don't want you to choose to leave. I don't want to wake up one day and find out you are gone. Because Ryan, it's not just about the child anymore. It never was. His thumb brushed against your knuckles, his voice thick. It's about you. It's about us. I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was the way you smiled at me in the morning, or the way you hold your stomach like you're protecting the most precious thing in the world. Maybe it was the night you fell asleep on the couch waiting for me to come home. But somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing this as a transaction, and I started seeing it as the one thing I never thought I would have again, a family. Your breath came in shaky gasps, your vision blurred with unshed tears. Jungkook lifted his free hand, gently cradling your face, his thumb wiping away a tear that escaped. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I don't expect you to forget the way this all started, but I need you to know this. Ryan, you are not just the mother of my child, you are my wife, and whether I was ready for it or not, I fell in love with you. A sob tore through your throat, and before you could stop yourself, you threw your arms around him, burying your face in his chest. His strong arms wrapped around you instantly, holding you close, holding you together. Stay with me, Ryan, not because of an agreement, not because of the child, but because I love you, and because I know deep down you love me too. Your fingers clutched at the fabric of his shirt as you let the emotions you had buried for so long consume you, and in that moment, as Jungkook held you like you were his whole world, you knew the truth. You don't know how long I waited to hear those words. Then tell me I'm not too late. Softly, a breathless chuckle escaping him as he caressed your hair. You shook your head, gripping his shirt tighter, as if letting go would shatter the moment. You are not. You never were. Jungkook exhaled sharply, his forehead dropping against yours, his hands cradling your face as if you were the most fragile thing in the world. I'm not a perfect man, Ryan. I have made mistakes, but I swear to you, I will never make the mistake of letting you doubt my love again. You nodded, swallowing the lump in your throat before whispering, then promise me, Jungkook, no more walls, no more distance. His grip tightened, his lips brushing against yours in the most softest, reverent kiss. I promise, from this moment on, it's just you and me and our family.